I noticed what they were hiding, and realizing the truth changed everything about how I saw my family. My parents always seemed happy. They'd been married for 32 years, and from the outside, their relationship looked solid. They rarely fought in front of my brother and me. They still went on date nights. They seemed like best friends. I considered their marriage a model for what I wanted in my own future relationships. Last summer, I was home visiting for a long weekend. I'm 28 and live across the country, so these visits had become less frequent. I cherished the time with my family and usually felt completely comfortable in my childhood home. On Saturday morning, I woke up early and went downstairs for coffee. My parents' bedroom door was closed, which was unusual. They were typically early risers. I made coffee quietly and sat at the kitchen table scrolling through my phone. About 20 minutes later, my mom came out. She looked startled to see me up, then quickly composed herself. She said good morning and started making breakfast with an odd energy, almost manic cheerfulness. Something felt off. My dad emerged a bit later, and the atmosphere got stranger. They were overly polite to each other, almost formal. When my dad passed my mom the milk, she thanked him like he was a stranger who'd held a door open. They avoided making eye contact. The ease I'd always seen between them was completely absent. I asked if everything was okay. They both insisted everything was fine, maybe a bit too emphatically. My mom changed the subject to asking about my work. My dad suddenly remembered he needed to run errands. The weekend continued with this weird tension hovering underneath every interaction. I mentioned it to my younger brother, Tyler, when we were alone. He's 25 and lives in the same city as our parents. He sighed and admitted he'd noticed it too, for months actually. He'd thought maybe it was just a rough patch and hadn't wanted to worry me. On Sunday evening, after dinner, I decided to address it directly. I asked my parents if everything was really okay with them. The silence that followed was heavy and uncomfortable. My mom's eyes filled with tears. My dad stared at his hands. Finally, my dad spoke. He said they'd been having problems for years. They'd been in couples therapy off and on, but weren't sure the marriage was salvageable. They'd been discussing separation but hadn't told Tyler or me because they didn't want to burden us or change how we saw them. I felt like the ground had shifted. Years? They'd been unhappy for years while presenting this united front. How much of what I'd believed about them had been performance? My mom explained that they'd stopped being romantically connected a long time ago but had stayed together initially for practical reasons and later out of habit. They cared about each other but more like roommates than spouses. The date nights I'd observed were attempts to rekindle something that might be gone for good. Tyler asked why they'd hidden it. My dad said they'd wanted to protect us, to let us believe in the stability of family even if it wasn't entirely real. He said parents shield their children from certain truths because that's what you do. But I didn't feel protected. I felt deceived. Every holiday gathering, every family photo, every casual reference to their relationship had been partially false. I'd made life decisions based partly on believing in their model of marriage. I'd judged my own shorter relationships against their supposed success. The conversation lasted hours. We talked about what separation might look like, logistics about the house, how holidays would work. It was surreal discussing my parents' divorce like it was a business transaction. After I flew home, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I felt angry at them for lying, then guilty for being angry.